All right, picking up where I left off last week. I'm going to be working on the area of the door pillar on the right-hand side of the car or the passenger side of the car, and I'll get you turned around here to show you what I'm up to. Okay, so this is the panel that I'm working on developing right now. We have a couple of marks here where the old spot welds are to align the panel. On the back side here, I've traced out where my plates are that I've plated, where I want to weld these plug welds to. I've cut my access hole here, and I'll show you where all that goes over here. That's all going to go in here. Here's the plates. That'll be welding to. I decided not to try and weld a plate in here because this plastic would have melted, so I'm going to be content to weld up along here, and then I'm going to plug weld through here, plug weld through here, then I'm going to do a full perimeter weld around here and down the side here, and of course down to the bottom. And I'll be using the existing holes for the spot welds to plug weld the bottom. I've also put a plate on this piece here, this bracket that holds the dashboard, so that I can plug weld it once I lay the panel up there. I've already got it drilled out to accept that. So yeah, I'm all ready to get involved. I got to do a little painting of the weld through primer, and then I'll be on to this. Okay, so this is all welded up, plug welded here, and then also it's continuous welded around down here along that, and now we're tied into the dashboard. We're tied into the dashboard through plug welds here. This bracket is now welded to this panel. We're plug welded through the old spot weld holes right here down at the base, and that pretty much is what that's looking like. So I got to move on to getting rid of, I keep putting off the dirty task of getting rid of the rest of this side of the rocker, and so I think I'll tackle that next. All right, so a little bit of back and forth. Decided to jump back over onto the Camino because I knew that one of the jobs that I was not looking forward to was cutting out this floor in the back here because it's just so hard to get to everything. I started thinking, well, I could just neatly drill out all the spot welds, but everything was in an awkward space and everything's layered, and so I just decided to go ahead and cut it out. And so you see that silver part there still has to be cut down. At any rate, what I've been doing in anticipation of trying to see how this thing's going to drop down on the chassis is I'm making this temporary pattern here that mimics the frame rails on the Camaro. I've got it tied into a reference point here, and it goes down. It's relieved out for this panel right here. Then it goes around to the side and straight back. And I still have a lot of work to do with that to get that to fit just right. And where that is gonna correspond to is it's gonna go along this side here, along here, and then across here. And of course, this area here is gonna get cut down to this is the top of the spring bucket right here. So I'm cutting all this excess material here. I'll probably plate it for a little bit more rigidity, although that's going to hopefully just bump right up against and be welded right to the bed once I get this flattened out. So I've got to do that. I've got to clear off those bumper brackets there. They're of no use to me. So I've got this side here done as far as the this door pillar area here. I just got to prime it up, and I've gone ahead and debulked this other side. Got this debulked, and this side here, I'm just finishing this up right now. Still got to grind it off. So we're sneaking up on it. It's a lot of back and forth, a lot of work to get it to where it's squared up. And I'll get back here so you can see what's going on with that. We'll get to the back of the car, and you can see now I've got two vertical door jambs, if you will, and they're properly dimensioned to fit up in between those door jambs over there. And and I won't need the floor from the El Camino because I'll have this floor back here still in this frame here. And so yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And so I'll just keep noodling along. I'll keep you up to date as I go. All right, I just thought I'd stop and show you what I'm up to here before I complete it all. As you can see, that's what the structure normally looks like. That's over top of the spring buckets. But since I need room for the bed on this build, I had to cut it down to the basics. This is the top of the spring bucket right here. Now this is gonna be right up against the bottom of the bed. So that's I think there's a cross member here I'm gonna have to cut that'll tie in here. That'll help to support that all. But I'm in a process now of I cut everything off level right here. Of course, this was a big cavity here leading into here, as you could see. You know, it gets cut right across here, and then there's a big cavity here from this structure which loops down. So now I'm in the process of plating this off here to recomplete this structure. I've already plated these in, and I'm getting ready to plate all this in, so this will just be a smooth structure. Hopefully this just bumps up against the bottom of the bed, and then I'll be able to weld it right directly to the bed and substantiate the whole thing. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you that before I was too far gone with this process here. And so I'll be picking it up when I'm done. All right, I told you about this pattern I had to develop to see what kind of interference we're going to have rather than wait until it's time to drop the whole body down onto the car. Now that I've got this decked off the way I need it to be decked off, as you can see, that would be a mess trying to figure out what's needed over there. So I've got this developed, and what it is just like it's a cladding over top of the structure over here to represent this this pan, and so I could see in and around the wheel tub what kind of things are going to be interfering. Also up here to see what kind of some of the cross members that are already existing up there, how far they have to be cut out. Probably, you know, maybe they don't need to be cut out at all. Who knows? Probably though. So I've got one more rod to put on here to stiffen up this whole thing so that when I take it up, it's not floppy. It won't be of any use to me if it's all flipping around. It has to be rigid as if I was actually dropping the car on it. But I can take this pattern off here, which is just held on by a couple of screws, and put it up under the car without having the whole weight of the car to be dealing with, and kind of get an idea. Get me closer. Probably won't be 100%. Nothing ever is. And I'll show you that next. All right, so this is what it's looking like, all plated off on the top here and decked out and welded up pretty good. And this is what that pattern looks like back off the car, back off the chassis portion anyway. And now I'm about to try to fit it up inside here to see what kind of things I need to trim away on the wheel tub and see how that all goes. Anyway, just thought I'd show you what that looks like before I get going. It's just all a bunch of scrap tin and stobs. All right, this might be a little hard to see, but here's that pattern in here. I had to cut some of this away up into here and across here, and then a little bit out of this side. Also on the inside here, I've got this cross member here it goes all the way to the end. You can see right there. So I cut a section out on this side over here. So this is basically simulating the interface between the car lined up with the pinch weld over here, coming out this way, going up and across here where that cap was. Now, no, by no means is this going to be 100% accurate, and doesn't mean I won't have to move it back or forth. I'm going to have to do some mending plates in this area right here because this is actually representing an empty space, or this is just a piece of vertical sheet metal on the car. There is no flooring here. So this area here where this is an overlap right here where you can see this daylight right over here, this is going to have to be, there's going to have to be mending plates all the way along here to join up the two structures. But this gives me a sense of how it's going to interface with the rest of the car. All of this is pretty much going to have to go, all this substructure, and I'll have to make sure that I reintroduce some cross members to strengthen this back up, because this is a pretty large member here. But the gas tank is going to go right in that area right here where the old gas tank was. but it's going to be tucked in a little higher up to the bottom of the bed. So this all has to go, and so I'll make the accommodations when the time comes with that, and we'll see how that all goes. But this gives me an idea of what I have to clear out before I bring that, just minimizing what I have to do after the car gets under here. Like I said, it's going to be several trips up and down with the chain hoist, getting this all set to where it needs to go. But this kind of gives me the ability to rough these openings out a little bit. Here's what it looks like from the inside here. Like I said, these are actually empty spaces. You can see over here, that same area is right here where that sheet metal is. So there'll be a gap here that has to be joined to the wheel tub, and over here and around here. So like I said, that just gives me an idea where this is all going to land and how it's going to interface. All right, so I got both of these areas decked off. I got the suspension rehung here because I got to make sure that my hubs are in the right spot, my wheels and tires. When I decided to get this whole mess up under here, I was going to try and figure out where the gas tank is going to go, but probably be easier just to fit this whole thing up underneath there, even if I don't weld the two together, to mark everything out where the gas tank filler neck has to come out. It's going to be close, but I think I can get it in there with this existing door here. We'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I'm having to install this torque bar here that I got an aftermarket bar. Not because I'm trying to be fancy or anything, but this comes with a proper mount to mount it off of the not on the transmission, because they normally have a transmission mount where they go to in the front here. So this one is a separate mount that's meant to accommodate this independent attachment to the transmission. So it has it also has a drive shaft loop up there, which is kind of nice. So this is where that torque arm is going to bolt to, and then it bolts over all the way down there to the rear end. That's naturally, everything's been expanded 15 inches. This no longer will mount here. I have to mount my mounting point all the way back here. So right now I'm just trying to tackle the idea of what I got to do to properly reinforce this bottom of the floor on both sides in order to create a bolt-up point for this mount. That's 15 inches back from this location. The reason I have to get all of this in here because I have to have the rear end stabilized so that it doesn't rotate forward or backwards. So I get the tires centered up when I decide to locate it over there on the El Camino body. So that's what I'll be up to next. So measurements are fine, but I wanted to double check my mount locations here. So the best thing to do is just assemble everything, bolt everything up, bolt it up to the rear end, bolt the torque arm to the mount itself over here, this little offset mount here. And I already had mounting points based off of these original mounting points marked out over there. So I centered them up over on those mounting points to see if everything was going to line up over here properly, and that's what I've got going now. So now I'm going to dismantle it all again and I'll proceed with making a permanent bracket here that I can bolt this up to. At any rate, there's that. All right, so I've gone ahead and I've moved my mount points for this cross member over to this location here on both sides over here. And then I went ahead and I welded it through. I added these flanges on here, and then I welded it through the top, through the floor pan, right here, in this location right here. So you can see the bolts are going to stick up a little bit through the floor here, because normally they would be over here sticking up underneath the seat, but this is behind the seat. So I'll just trim those off so that it's just maybe a little bump in the back, which doesn't really matter because nobody's sitting back there. Anyway, so they're floating over here in the middle of the floor, which is just sheet metal here. And Normally, they're in this location, which is a seat brace up on the top side there, which kind of makes that whole thing rigid because it goes from this side, attaching to the floor pan right here, all the way up to the transmission hump. So that's what makes this a stronger point. On that side there, it's attached to this little frame rail extension piece here, which is also located underneath of the seat brace on the other side. So that connects it from the center of the car to the sides and makes it substantial. So what I've had to do here is figure out how I was going to do that similarly, but underneath the car. So I went ahead and I've got a pattern here that I made out of aluminum, just a little bit bigger than the actual piece that I'm going to cut it out of, so that I could sit under here real nice and easy and just slowly trim this piece out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit this up like this so I can weld it all along the floor pan here, and then when you get to this where it starts to double up, and then these frame rails over here where it's really substantial, it's all going to get tied in here and there. So that's the actual, just a pattern right there. And so I've taken this 1/8 inch U-channel here that we used to use at work for trailing arms, and so it looks like that, and I've cut it out similarly. That's easy for you to say. And that's going to fit up in there the same way, right there. And as I said before, I made it a little bit, the pattern a little bit larger, so all I had to do is once this thing was, once this was cut out, is just slide it over here and then trim out the pattern. And then from there on, fit the actual piece in, and saves a lot of time. So that's where I am with that, and got to get this all taken care of. And then I also have to go ahead and maybe hook some chains on the rear end to keep them suspended, because I got to take the shock absorbers back off as they poke through the top, and I have to be able to have them out of my way if I want to mark the holes in the bed, because they mount right up through the bed in this configuration. Anyway, that's where I'm at with this. All right, I just thought I'd show you these pieces that have been added in. I just hit them with a little primer right here. They basically connect the frame rails across here now, and they're all welded to the floor pan all the way across here on both sides, and then they're welded around these frame rail extensions that I put in earlier. So now the this cross member, once this paint dries, the cross member can go back in, and I could bolt up this torque arm so it stabilizes the rear end from rotation, and that helps me be sure that the front to rear dimension, when I start dropping this body down onto this chassis, is correct. Because right now, the way it is, if you this is not in place, that rear end can rotate, and when you rotate it, it moves the tires forward or backwards just a little bit. So I want to make sure everything is where it's going to end up, pretty much at least 90%. So that's why I'm messing around with this particular time. So that's where it's at. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you that. Okay, so this is what it's all looking like bolted up, and you can see that this bar now mounts independent of the transmission being in the car, which would be problematic for me to try and do that now, because obviously it does no engine and transmission. And this is an alternate way, a legitimate alternate way that it's mounted up with these mounts. Anyway, so this is what it's all looking like over here, tied in. And then that's bolted up like that, and that's about the size of that. And so I'm moving on to the next thing. Okay, since I need this suspension to not drop all the way down and drop the springs out, and I needed to take the shock absorbers out, and they basically, the last line of defense there to keep this whole thing from dropping and the springs falling out, I went ahead and bolted some chains through the trailing arms and up through the bolt holes that hold the bump stobs for the rear axle. So now that I got that in place, like I said, I'm a little far away from dropping this, but I'm doing everything in preparation of as I go along, since I'm dealing with the suspension, to do a few things here to get that ready, so I don't have to do it all at once when I'm ready finally with the final trims. Anyway, that's where I'm at with that. All right, so I'm back over here on the body, trying to do some more trimming and getting it ready for the first drop. It'll definitely have to come back off after the first drop because, I don't know, that back is too complicated to just kind of do by measurement. There's a lot of ins and outs, and I want to make sure that I get the gas tank placed right. And so all of that has to be kind of done, snuck up on. Anyway, this is what I'm up to right now. I've trimmed this all down on this side, like I did on the driver's side, to where it's flush with this pinch weld flange. And since I had to trim away all the flanges that attach to the inner structure, what I'm doing is I'm plating the entire area right now. So I'll drill some holes through those inner panels in the proper location to where I can plug weld all of this area over here to that car when the time comes to strengthen up the area right here, which is the hinge point for the doors. So got to do these lower portions, of course that side too. So I'm busy making up these close off plates for this area here. They're going to fit right in there like that, and that'll lock that all together, re-strengthen it up, and look like that when it's done. At any rate, that's all I have time for this video. So I'm going to end it here, and I appreciate everybody who's watching, and I will see you on the next one.